Hello, Black women. Hello, friends. Anybody getting free? I would like to share with you today 3 things that I am doing to get free. You might be like, Stephanie, I think you're already free. I was reminded very recently that this is a work in progress, and this is a thing that we keep working on. So, whether you already feel like you are living your life as a free Black woman, which I love, or you feel like I need to free myself, which I also love. I love that you recognize that. Whether you're in category A or B, welcome. We're going to talk today just about some steps that I'm taking, okay? And hopefully you'll share in the comments some steps that you're taking, and other Black women will be able to figure out their own path. I'm not sharing my steps because they're exactly your steps, but sharing helps. Sharing is caring. But first, if you're new here, welcome. My name is Stephanie Perry. I'm a house sitter. I'm the creator of House Sitter School, the co-creator of Exodus Summit. Through the work that I do, I help Black women take a career break or a sabbatical. I help Black women move abroad, bop around as a nomad, house sit for free accommodation, all while embracing ease. If these things sound good to you, please make sure that you subscribe to my YouTube channel. And you have to actually hit the button, the subscribe. You have to do it. Thank you. Thank you for that. And also, please turn on notifications. Ring that notification bell so that you'll be notified when I post a new video or when I go live. Welcome. Okay, so my YouTube channel is almost 5 years old, and I've been talking for quite a while about living life the way you want, right? Deciding what you want in your life and living that way. For a lot of women in this community, that includes taking a break from work, working a whole lot less, putting work in its place in your life. For a lot of women, that includes moving abroad or traveling full time. Getting free is it is what you decide it is. So yes, getting free is we're talking about disconnecting ourselves from white supremacist ideologies, right? From Black excellence and the demands of that, right? But it's also freeing yourself from whatever, right? Whatever you think is holding you back, is chaining you down. So when I say here are the steps that I'm currently taking, the question might be, but you're already free, you're a house sitter girl, what? But I am a work in progress, and we have to keep working at things or we'll fall back into the old patterns and the old way of living, because that stuff, it stays. I don't know if it always stays, but it has stayed in me. I had a recent remembering that this is a work in progress. I'm not at the finish line. When I was in high school, I would not wear clothes that exposed my arms. It's just a thing about me, right? I just didn't like my arms exposed. I have stretch marks, right? I have stretch marks, and I've had stretch marks since I was a kid. And I just didn't like my arms showing. And not too long ago, I realized that I was back there, right? That I was back to not wanting my arms showing, especially on a YouTube video. I didn't really have the problem walking around my everyday life. But on a YouTube video, I'd be looking for a shirt with sleeves instead of a tank top. And that was just very recently, and I'm 49. And it's probably been 25 years since I've last had that struggle. So I just want to talk about some steps that I'm taking to continue to throw off whatever thing that's holding me back. That was a small example, but I just want to talk about that, okay? All right, so number 1 step. These aren't really like steps in any order. You know, I like to call things steps. I don't know. Are they steps? Are they a path? Are they options, choices, whatever you want to call them, okay? Step number 1 is to throw off other people's expectations and demands. First, we have to recognize when other people are placing expectations and demands on us, and then we have to reject them. And I like to say out loud, I reject that. That is the thing that I do. So maybe when I start talking about me being afraid to wear tank tops and sleeveless shirts, maybe if your brain started to be like, well, I got stretch marks, right? Just say out loud, I reject that, right? I listened to a Mel Robbins podcast not long ago. Mel Robbins is a life coach, I think is what we would call her. And on her podcast, she said, just say out loud, I'm not thinking about that. Okay, right? When those thoughts pop up, we have to reject them, and I think you have to tell yourself to reject those thoughts. If you want to share in the comments one thing that you have noticed people expect from you that you either are rejecting or that you're about to reject, about to start rejecting, about to start throwing off, let us know in the comments. Share that with us. For me, it's all of Black excellence, right? It's all of Black excellence. My parents, I think I would describe as Black excellence parents, right? First generation college graduates with the good jobs, who traveled, did the things in church, were prominent in their churches and all of that. I think my parents were Black excellence. And very early on, it was clear that childhood Stephanie was not interested in doing that, not doing the most. Black excellence, a lot of that is just doing the most, right? Of course, doing the most so that you'll be seen as a good Black to white people. We're rejecting all of that today. But as a child, mostly, I was just not a kid who was going to do the most. I had friends, I had little kid friends who were going to do the best at something. And I was always satisfied with just getting it done. And so that's always been an expectation that I could throw off. People would look at my parents, they would look at me, and they would expect me to be doing. And I wasn't into it, not all that much. I still had to do some stuff, because kids, you only get so much autonomy. But I pretty much had the ability to be like, no, I'm not doing that. In fact, I'm not doing that was if you were going to copy me, how families make fun of each other. If you were going to make fun of me, what you would say is, I'm not doing that. That was my line. That was my thing. So, number one, throw off other people's expectations. It's hard to it's hard to recognize those expectations, because sometimes they've been ingrained in us so much, embedded in us, grown in us, that it's hard to recognize that this is somebody else's expectation for me. This is not something that I want for myself. But if you do enough listening, do enough questioning of yourself about why you do what you do, why do you feel that way, you'll find it's probably somebody else's expectation. So I gave you a pretty superficial example about me not wearing tank tops, but that can be tied back to expectations that I look a certain way, right? It could be tied back to expectations that I fit in and don't stand out. Look at me. I'm a standout. Okay, I have to just reject that expectation and not let it be the boss of me. Any expectations from other people. A lot of the things that we're moving towards and striving for in our lives are things that other people want for us, but we don't want for ourselves. If we were to get some free time, some downtime, take a sabbatical, and listen to what we actually want for ourselves, it's not that, right? I don't know what I want, but I know it's not that. So number one, throwing off other people's expectations and demands, saying out loud, I reject that. I wrote it down as one sentence, but it takes time, it takes some self-awareness, some knowledge, some talking things out, some thinking things through, okay? But that is a step that I'm still working on, right? What do people expect from me that I don't want to deliver? And how do I reject that instead of internalizing it and saying, well, I should, why don't I want to do this? I should want to do this, Go ahead and share in the comments. Is there something that you've had to reject out loud that you can share with us, or something that you're going to start rejecting, expectation from other people that you're going to start throwing it off? Go ahead and share that with us in the comments, please. Okay, step 2, the second thing that I have done to get free. The second thing that I have done to be less the person that people expect me to be and be more my genuine self, the real me who's in there, is to get in community with other Black women who are freeing themselves. I'm not gonna make a video without telling you to get in community with people. And I've been so kind as to list some communities in the description of this video. The Exodus Summit community, I'm always going to point you there. Exodus Summit is the community that I have co-created with Rashida Dow, who is career break coach extraordinaire Rashida Dow. We've created the Exodus Summit community for Black women who want to work towards taking a career break or a sabbatical, who want to work towards moving abroad, who want to work towards bopping around as a nomad or some version of that for themselves. Exodus Summit is an amazing community of women who get together on their own and sometimes with us, and who support each other on this new journey. When you're doing something new, when you're going against Black excellence and white supremacist ideology and maybe a little bit of capitalism, right? When you're deciding that you don't want to live your life with those values anymore, you need to be in community with people who are living out a new set of values. So I recommend the Exodus Summit community to you. The link is in the description of this video. It's exodussummit.com/community. It's for Black women only. If your Facebook profile doesn't make it clear that you're a Black woman, you may not be able to get into the community, okay? I just want you to understand that, all right? I want to recommend to you also a new community that's springing up called the Bougie Auntie International Society. I'm going to link to a wait list or information list in the description of this video. If you are, I would say, in your 30s and 40s and you are the bougie auntie, you have decided that you want to live your life child-free, you want to enjoy travel, you want to explore yourself, you want to form community with other Black women, you're going to love the Bougie Auntie International Society, which is run by my dear friend Clarice, who is Mochamoiselle on the internet. I may have to edit that. Mochamoiselle, who has residency in Jamaica, who is a virtual assistant, which gives her the ability to be wherever in the world, and who is a bougie auntie. Okay, so the Bougie Auntie International Society is a new community that's starting for Black women who want to be that, right? Who are or want to be that. With their full chest, right? Without any apology, unapologetically. I also want to point you to the Picky Girls Travel Solo community. You know Adelia Aborishade, who is Picky Girl Travels the World on YouTube. Her community on Facebook is for solo travelers or women who are interested in solo traveling. Listen, solo travel will set you free, okay? If nothing else has set you free so far, solo travel will set you free. What solo travel did for me was, number one, it showed me that I didn't have to wait for anybody else to get what I wanted in life, right? Not only just in terms of travel destinations, but bigger things in my life. I'm in Puerto Rico right now. I just visited Puerto Rico for the first time last year to come to the ROI Summit conference. I had never been to Puerto Rico, even though I've been to 30-something countries, and Puerto Rico is pretty easy to get to from the United States. I'd never been to Puerto Rico because when I started planning a group trip to Puerto Rico in my 20s, my little friend group, everybody backed out when it was time to pay, and I just never went. Okay? So Picky Girls Travel Solo. That community will help you not have that story, okay? I didn't get to Puerto Rico till I was 48. Spoiler alert, I love it here. I'm in a beautiful beach house. Well, let's see, you're not gonna be able to see any of the view, but I'm in a beautiful beach house in Puerto Rico, which I love. I'm coming back. And I wouldn't know about this if I hadn't been able to embrace solo travel. But solo travel doesn't just help you to do more solo travel. It helps you see other places in your life where you might be waiting on somebody else and you need to just go ahead and do it for yourself. I'm on my own journey to adopt my own children because, listen, I'm not waiting. Okay, I'm 49. I got to get some things moving. And so I credit solo travel, seeing the world by myself, with helping me understand that, oh, you know what, I can do some things without waiting for people to come along with me. That doesn't mean I do things without community, okay? This whole point is to talk to you about getting in community with people. But there's a difference between being in community with people and waiting on people, okay? We're not waiting, okay? We're joining. The third community, fourth community that I want to point you to is a retreat that's happening in Mexico City in April that I think that you'll love. Kat, who is Rebloom Room on YouTube, and Kathy, who is Wellside Retreats on YouTube, are hosting a retreat in Mexico City called Relax, Connect, and Explore. Okay, if you're a Black woman over 40, you would like some time in April to visit a vibrant city and also slow down and connect with yourself, right? Take an urban retreat where there's things to do, but also have dedicated time for yourself and dedicated time to connect with some other Black women who are like you. then Relax, Connect, Restore, and Urban Retreat is for you. You know I've linked to that in the description of this video as well. Another dear friend named Kat. All the black girls are named Kat. I don't know how that happened. Another friend of mine named Kat is hosting a tour to Brazil for black women, I believe black people in general, maybe only black women, who are interested in seeing Brazil with a focus on the arts, with a focus on seeing the arts and meeting artists and doing artsy stuff in Brazil. If you're into being a socially responsible traveler and not just like, oh, we did a tour of the poor neighborhoods, right? If you're interested in really experiencing Brazil in July, I'll link to Kat's retreat also. Another way that I've listed on here to get in community with people who are into freeing themselves is books. Do books count? So I talked about how Exodus Summit and all of these communities are helping black women live out their values. I'm using this language specifically, using these words because a book really has helped me over the last few months. I've read, I don't have it with me because I passed it on to a friend in Costa Rica, but I've read Rachel Cargill's A Renaissance of Our Own, and it has given me a renaissance. That book has helped to free me a little bit more, get me a little bit closer. In this book, Rachel Cargill talks about how she has aligned her own life with her values, first decided what her values are, got clear on that, and then started making sure that she's aligning every decision in her life that way. And she walks you through doing the same thing for yourself. That has been extremely helpful for me. So I don't know if you can be in community with a book. Maybe if someone would host a book club, please, and read that book, then I could be in community with y'all. But books are a way for me to find out what that author is thinking, right? What is that author's approach to things? And it's a conversation, especially now in the day of audiobooks. These books are conversations that we have with the author, even though it might feel one way, but it doesn't have to be. Between an audiobook and social media, it could be a two-direction conversation. So I'm going to throw that book in here as a way to get in community with other black women freeing themselves. And since I've done that, this is not in my outline, but since I've done that, let me also link you to my book, which is called Job Detox, a framework for black women to stop striving and get free. If the thing you need to free yourself from is the idea that you are the work that you do, right? If the thing that you need to free yourself from is your job being the boss of you, your job dictating every other part of your life, or just leeching over and taking over every part of your life until you don't know who you are except for your job title, okay? If that's where you are today, get my book, Job Detox, vicarious.com/job detox. If you're watching this video when it first comes out, the end of January, you'll see that link leads you to a wait list for the book. But if you're watching any later than that, you'll see that links you to the book. Okay, go ahead and get Job Detox or get on the wait list for Job Detox. If the thing you need to free yourself from, or a thing you need to free yourself from, is you are what you do. Okay, the notion that your value is in your work as opposed to who you are is fruit of the slavery tree. Okay, black women feel that our value is in what we do and the work that we do, and that's because of slavery. Okay, and so let's change that. Go ahead and get Job Detox or get on the wait list for Job Detox. That is a thing that you can free yourself from. Okay, so we have thrown off other people's expectations for ourselves. We've gotten in community with other black women. The third thing that I'm doing to get free over and over and over again is seeing the world. I love traveling. I love to see the world. It's not only about being in another place, it's about seeing another way of living, right? I would never have understood that work didn't have to be the boss of me if I hadn't spent a lot of time in other parts of the world where work is not the boss of people, where you go out at 10 o'clock at night on a weekday and they're just sitting down for dinner with generations of family, right? You got the grandma, the parent, the kid, the grandkids, right? Generations of family and friends out enjoying themselves during the week. People having a full life or meeting other travelers. What happened for me was I traveled for a full year. I met other travelers, and for them, it was no big deal. I was traveling for a year, and to me, this was like an earth-shattering, life-changing experience. And they were like, "Oh yeah, I take 2 months off every year, and I just travel," right? No big deal, okay? That freed me from work being the boss of me. That freed me from work being the center of my life. I was a hospital pharmacy technician. I worked night shift, and my job determined what I did in my life. My job determined what events I got to go to, when I got to spend time with family and friends, who my family and friends were. All of that was determined by my work, by me being a night shift worker in a hospital. And I decided I didn't want to do that anymore. And that was because I got to see the world, and I got to see that there are people who get to live a whole life. Not just people with a trust fund, right? Not just, obscenely rich people, but everyday people who get to have a whole life and put work in its place. And that reframed, for me, what my life was going to look like for the rest of my life. So see the world. You don't necessarily need to love travel for it to impact you in that way, right? You may want to travel in a different way. If there's a type of travel that you've done that you don't like, that you don't enjoy, then travel in a different way. I talked to you about a retreat and Kat's tour in Brazil. So maybe travel in one of those kinds of ways will be more enjoyable to you than the types of travel that you've done before, where you are somewhere for 5 days, you're busy the whole time, you come back exhausted and drained, and you didn't really see anything authentic. You saw like a Disney World version of that country. Maybe traveling slower, traveling with a group of people or alone, and being able to actually put yourself in community with people in a new place might be a whole lot more enjoyable than the way that we've traveled before. Okay, so throw off other people's expectations. Get in community with other Black women freeing themselves and see the world. These are things that I'm doing. These are steps that I'm taking to make sure that the Stephanie who's the real Stephanie in here gets to live, thrive, see the world, and meet herself and show up. I get to show up as myself. I don't have to put on the mask or the facade from time to time to get by. I get to just be me. That's been amazing. I really like it. I really like it. And I hope that all Black women can experience themselves, can experience what it feels like to be free out here in the world. Okay? If you don't mind, please let me know in the comments if you are in the process of doing any or all of these things. Are you in the process of identifying some things that you need to throw off, right? Some things you need to start rejecting? Are you in the process of forming community with other Black women who are freeing themselves? And how and where? If you want to share the community, go ahead and share the name of that community. Are you in the process of seeing the world in one way or another? Big trips or small trips, they all count. Let us know in the comments. I'll also, in the description of this video, link to my new house sitter toolkit, which is a way that I've gotten to see the world without having to pay for accommodation. House sitting, okay? You'll love it. You'll love it. If you're a friend of animals, you'll love house sitting and pet sitting, okay? I have a couple of videos coming up in the future that you'll be interested in. Since you've made it this far, I have some videos that I think you're really going to be interested in. I'm going to do a full video on books for Black women getting free. I would like to do a full video on groups for Black women getting free and on retreats for Black women getting free. So if you want to make sure that yours is mentioned, go ahead and let us know about it in the comments of this video, okay? All right, thank you so much for watching. Please take a second, hit the like button on this video, and share it with a Black woman who's also getting free. Share it with a Black woman who is making sure over and over and over again that she's living her life for herself and not for the demands of some outside force that only wants to kill her, to work her to death, okay? Please share this video, and I appreciate you so much for watching. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time. Bye.